Okay, let's jump right into this explainer, breaking down tech writer Aaron Rose's take on Apple's newest device, the MacBook Neo. Look, if you've been glancing at the laptop market lately, you know exactly how overwhelming the whole thing has become, right? It feels like this dizzying maze of specs, configurations, and endless jargon where you practically need an engineering degree just to read a product page. Honestly, it's exhausting. But today, we're taking a totally different approach. We're going to look at this device through a refreshingly practical lens to figure out what it actually means for you.
And that brings us to the core philosophy of our explainer today. As Rose so perfectly puts it, the MacBook Neo doesn't need to be complicated. Take a second to really appreciate that idea. Seriously, when did buying a laptop for, basic emails and web browsing become so intensely stressful? We are intentionally stripping away the dense tech jargon right here, right now. No deep dives into microscopic thermal specifications, and no trying to predict every highly specific niche task you might maybe do 5 years down the line. Instead, we're focusing purely on straightforward everyday computing. We're going to look at what this machine actually is, and most importantly, where it fits into your daily routine.
So let's establish exactly what the Neo is. You can think of it as Apple's lower-cost, lightweight entry point into the current Mac lineup. We aren't looking at some complex, intimidating piece of machinery that needs a thick manual just to boot up. It's designed from the ground up to be a portable, accessible daily driver. And when we say daily driver, we mean it's built quite literally around the reality of what most of us actually do. Picture your typical afternoon. You've probably got, 40 browser tabs open, Spotify is running in the background, you're half watching a YouTube video, and you're trying to type up a document. Well, the Neo is engineered specifically to handle that exact beautiful chaos without a single hiccup. Now, when you look at the brain of this computer, the A18 Pro chip, it's actually fascinating to realize this is the exact same silicon family powering your iPhone. Apple isn't trying to make a miniature watered-down MacBook Pro here. While a Pro model is built for sheer, brute professional power, the Neo prioritizes total efficiency and snappy responsiveness. Think of it this way. Buying a massive professional rig for everyday tasks is kind of like buying a high-performance sports car just to sit and stop-and-go grocery store traffic. It's just expensive overkill. The iPhone-derived A18 Pro chip isn't a compromise at all. It's a massive benefit. It gives you exactly the power you need for ordinary multitasking without carrying around the heavy, overwhelming, and frankly costly baggage of a pro-level processor.
Let's talk about what you're actually staring at all day. The Neo rocks a 13-inch liquid retina display that is super bright, incredibly colorful, and gives you that razor-sharp text that's absolutely crucial for preventing eye strain during everyday reading and browsing. But what really gives this laptop its approachable vibe is the design choice. I mean, why shouldn't your everyday laptop have a little personality, right? It comes in 4 casual, vibrant colors. This playfully separates it from that stark, ultra-serious silver and gray aesthetic of Apple's professional Macs. It's a consumer-oriented device, it completely embraces that role, and it's dressed perfectly for the part.
And the ultimate real-world benefit comes directly from pairing that super-efficient A18 Pro chip with this lightweight design, up to 16 hours of battery life. Just think about how fundamentally that changes your relationship with your computer. We all know that familiar panic scramble for the one working wall outlet in a crowded coffee shop, right? Or that low-grade anxiety when the battery icon dips into the red during an important meeting. The basic proposition here is that the Neo is a device you can carry around your house, take to a cafe, or use through an entire day of classes or work completely untethered. You don't have to constantly scan the room for a charger. You just use it. That overarching theme of simplicity, it carries right over into the hardware itself. It is a deliberately minimalist setup. You've got your built-in camera and microphones, high-quality speakers, Touch ID for simple fingerprint security, and 2 USB-C ports. Think back to the dark days of the dongle life. Digging frantically through your bag for a specific adapter just to plug in a basic accessory? The Neo is a very welcome return to sanity. The big takeaway is that you have absolutely everything you need to confidently jump into a video call, lead an online meeting, or stream a movie right out of the box on day one. It just works. But because it shares so much architectural DNA with the iPhone, there is a common misconception we need to clear up right now. With its lightweight footprint, you might mistakenly think this is just some glorified iPad with a keyboard snapped onto it. It absolutely is not. It runs Mac OS. This means you're getting a completely traditional Mac desktop experience. You have the familiar Finder, Safari, Mail, Photos, and the total freedom to install standard full-featured Mac software. So despite its hardware simplicity on the outside, it remains a fully capable computer on the inside. Simply put, if you know how to use a Mac, you already know exactly how to use the Neo. So let's talk about how it handles modern, cutting-edge technology, specifically AI. The MacBook Neo supports Apple Intelligence.
integrating AI features directly into the operating system. If you look at the current tech landscape, it feels like every single company is screaming about AI and practically demanding you learn complex prompt engineering just to send an email. But here is why the Neo's approach really matters for a focused workflow. You shouldn't feel overwhelmed by this. The beauty of this system is that it acts as a quiet, helpful assistant. You don't need to configure complex settings. These are simply built-in tools waiting patiently in the background until you genuinely want them to help you rewrite a sentence or find a specific photo. This seamless integration extends even further when we look at the broader Apple ecosystem, which is undeniably one of the most compelling reasons to consider this device. There's a powerful, almost invisible relationship between the Neo and the iPhone you likely already have sitting in your pocket. You can copy a password on your iPhone and, magically, paste it right onto your laptop. You can start typing a message on your phone and finish it on the Neo's keyboard without skipping a beat. It's a feature that still feels genuinely surprising and delightful to use. It's not just about evaluating the laptop in a vacuum. It's about how effortlessly the device fits into the technological life you're already living.
So, where the rubber hits the road, is the Neo actually the right choice for you? Let's draw a clear line in the sand between everyday computing and intensive professional jobs. We need to be really honest with ourselves about our daily habits here. If your typical day consists of writing, web browsing, streaming media, communication, and some light creative tasks, the Neo is built exactly for you. However, if your livelihood depends on sustained professional video production, compiling massive software builds, or rendering heavy 3D architectural models, you should absolutely still be looking at the higher performance Macs. It is perfectly fine to need those pro capabilities, but this breakdown helps you self-identify exactly where your reality falls, so you can make the smartest, most cost-effective choice.
To wrap up our breakdown of Rose's analysis, the absolute best advice for approaching the MacBook Neo is remarkably straightforward. Don't stress over learning every single feature before you begin. You don't need to understand the underlying thermal architecture of the A18 Pro chip, and you definitely don't need to memorize a list of Apple Intelligence capabilities. In a world where our tech constantly demands our attention and often requires a steep learning curve, there's something incredibly refreshing about a device with a simple philosophy. It literally just asks you to open the lid, turn it on, and get to work using the things you already need. You can discover the rest of the magic entirely as you go. Which leaves us with this final, critical question to consider before you make your next big tech purchase. Do you really need to pay for capabilities you don't use? It is so incredibly easy to get upsold on brute professional power out of a fear of missing out on the best. But if everyday computing is what you actually do, embracing a device designed specifically, thoughtfully, and affordably for that reality might just be the absolute smartest choice you can make. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.